恭敬大德圣听，为此法会，济一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，殊真无生。
Will the Sangha
Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering, attain bliss, and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
So now's a good time to recite the Great Compassion mantra for about a couple of minutes and transfer merit that'll work.
Fashi, can you hear us? Hi, Fashi, can you hear us now? No. Let me see.
Testing, testing.
Okay, can
you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We hear you just fine.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. We got it.
Okay.
Jerry. Okay.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Everybody please repeat. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo Tato Suche Doye Arahadi Samya Sambuddhoshe.
Okay, here we go together. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Together, here we go. English. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a million eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently.
May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning.
going to be looking into the Flower Garland Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra's 10 stages, 10 grounds chapter. So before we do that, is Dharmaster Lai present? Is he resting safely? Made it down safely?
Yeah, he made it down safely, but he's resting in the annex.
Good. I want to say hello to him. If he's watching online,
He might
appreciate
be.
his
Yeah.
driving all the way down from the Cascade Mountains in western Washington State to Berkeley for our meeting. All right. So here is the title of the Flower Garland Sutra. Let me bring it up on the screen. We're going to be chanting that Chinese, and we're invoking the invisible spiritual presence of the Flower Garland Assembly. So let's do that together. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Ji Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Right, we're back to page 28 in our text here. If you all have a copy in your hands at the monastery, you're all set. Excuse me while I sneeze. Gee whiz. Hey, this is my special microphone with a sneeze button. You all got to hear me sneeze 3 times. It's supposed to be high-tech. You can press a button and it mutes suddenly, but that didn't work. All right. We are in the past the middle of the 8th stage of the 10 stages, the Dashabhumi, the 10 grounds chapter of the Flower Garland Sutra. And I'm going to read this paragraph, starting with Yo Zhi Guo Tu Shan Xiao Xiang. Read it down first in the Chinese. You're welcome to make it even bigger for you.
Dharmaster, I think you're showing a different screen. We only see a flower.
You only see a flower. Why is that?
I think on the go-to meeting, there's a choice of which screen you share.
Okay.
And
let's see here. I'm screen sharing. There we go. Aha. I see. So stop showing screen.
Or share the other screen.
Here.
You have 2 screens to share.
Is there another screen? There's that one.
We don't.
Not showing anything.
Yeah, you're not showing anything at this point.
Good. Showing main screen. Hey, how's that?
We still. Oh, yes. We see the sutra now.
Good. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Gee whiz, all this time. I'm glad you told me. Otherwise, I could have gotten away with watching Netflix videos and you wouldn't have known. Gee whiz. Let's see here. Okay. I've made it a little bigger, but I'm going to have to, let's make it slightly smaller. There we go. Is that too small for people to see? You can see it. Good. Okay. We're going to start right here and read this paragraph, starting with Yo Zhi Guo Tu Shan Xiao Xiang. Okay. Ready? Please. 右知国土生小象. Do you want to try it? Let's read it in unison. That's the best way when we're separated by a distance. Okay, we're going to read that much. Here we go. Ready? Together with me. 右知国土生小象，大象、无量象、然象、净象、广象、导住象、正住象、普入象、方王差别相，知业报身假名差别. All right. Go over to the English. Here it is. We're going to start with further, right there. Read that paragraph. Ready? Together? Here we are. Further, he knows the small attributes of the country's bodies, as well as their big attributes, their immeasurable attributes, their impure attributes, their pure attributes, their extensive attributes, their inverted residing attributes, their proper residing attributes, their all-pervading attributes, their differing interlaced attributes. Okay. What's going on here? This is, the Bodhisattva is, we're looking at the Flower Garland Sutra's description of how a Bodhisattva travels along a path of education. And he or she is learning how to be a better Bodhisattva. This is Bodhisattva Academy, Bodhisattva training. And the Flower Garland Sutra does it best. This text is the textbook, the handbook for how to become a Bodhisattva, all the way from the start to the finish. The finish is the 10th stage, the 10th ground. And at that point, a Bodhisattva is done, and his Buddha nature is fully manifest. And he has, I'll use he, you can use she if you want. He has a choice at that point to stay on the 10th stage, never be a Buddha. And an example of that in the lore of the Mahayana is Earth's treasury, Earth stage, Kshitigarbha, he's a 10th stage Bodhisattva, he could graduate. He could go on and complete his path. He doesn't. He prefers to stay a Bodhisattva. Above the 10th stage of the Bodhisattva, there are only 2 more positions that you can accomplish before in our tradition, they say your work in the Tao is complete, your work in the way. Only 2 more levels of refinement to go before you're home and done, which is Buddhahood. One is called Dengjue, equal or identical awakening. And the last one is called Miaojue, wonderful awakening, wondrous awakening. And that's Buddhahood. So our Bodhisattva is just 2 steps below that. He's on the 8th. There's the 9th to go, the 10th, then on up. So this is profound stuff. This is beyond my experience, that goes without saying. And yet still, we want to investigate. We want to find out and learn more. What's involved? What's it like at that level? What would be an equivalent would be if you were really interested in mathematics, you really got into math, you loved, just had this affair with numbers from 0, what does 0 mean? All the way up from 1 to 9 to 0. Then you start, who was the guy? There was this, I read the article the other day about a deacon, a church deacon in Memphis, Tennessee. And he's been a deacon in this church, just a kind of a, he's our equivalent of Mr. Yap, right? He's a faithful servant of the church. And he had a hobby, which is he was looking for prime numbers. And apparently, I didn't know anything about this. There's a club, kind of a fraternity that you can join simply by volunteering. And it's nationwide, worldwide, international. And they're looking for prime numbers. And they devote their computer to searching for a prime number. And now somebody can correct me, please do. A prime number is a number that can only be divided by 1 and itself. Is that right? Did I get it right? Something like that. So yeah, okay. Let's, Jin Chuan, get on it, brother. Correct me on that. You're much closer to prime numbers than I am.
I said, yes, you got it. That's right. That's right. Yes.
I got it right in 1. Yes. There's hope for me yet. Oh, so, but the thing is, prime numbers are millions of digits. And so you need some massive computing power. And this deacon, this gentleman in Memphis, Tennessee, set his computer to searching for prime numbers and found one. And he is one of 50 people in the world, I guess, who's ever actually discovered it. And as I read the article, I wasn't clear about how he discovered it. Was his computer hit it first or something? I'm not quite clear. The article didn't explain that. But it was a mathematical home run. I mean, that was news in the world of mathematics. And you could say his computer did it. He didn't do it. And the number that he discovered was, I think, I could be way off. It was, 700,000 numbers, 700,000 digits. So anyway, it's quite an accomplishment. And he's a part-time mathematician, but he's now he's been appointed to the pantheon of the best mathematicians, theoretical mathematicians in the world. And so how interesting, between discovering a prime number and a kid who's going, wow, 9 and then 0? How do you go from 9 to 0? 0 is like, it covers everything, you know, and there's a huge gap, but it's still the very same building blocks. And if you start out going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1 plus 0, all the way to discovering a prime number, it's the same path. It's the same road. And if you keep walking, assuredly, you'll encounter those huge prime numbers. So it's the same with our bodhisattva, right? There's Buddhahood, and it comes from his nature, her nature, nowhere else. It's a human invention. It's a people thing. Humanity become Buddhas. But from where we start, which is, gee whiz, you know, I've got this body and I recognize it in the mirror most days, some days not, and it keeps changing on me. Men keep growing beards and you know, hair keeps turning gray. That changes all the time, but it's this one body. And here's our bodhisattva on the 8th ground he knows the attributes, the small attributes of countries' bodies, as well as the larger attributes. And this attribute, here's the word right there. It's called xiang. And what is a xiang? We translate that as attributes. It could be translated as a mark. We translate it as a mark, but that's a rude translation. Attribute is something the senses can know. So the eyes see sight attributes, big, red, round, fast, you know, blurry, sharp, small and big in this case. The ears hear sound attributes, right? Quiet, subtle, delicate, coarse, loud, brash, all the different things that sounds can be. That's all xiang, right? The tongue, flavor attributes, the nose, scent attributes, the body, nose, smooth or harsh, soft, rough, slippery, okay, coarse, all these different things that the skin can feel. And the mind knows the attributes of dharmas, phenomena, the mind can know. So this bodhisattva, using his wisdom at the 8th stage, knows xiaoxiang, small attributes, daxiang, of countries. Get it? Countries' bodies. So do you have a country's body? Yeah. Yeah, you do. It's an identity. If you change attribute to identity, body to identity, you can get it. What's impure about a country? This bodhisattva knows. What's pure about a country? The bodhisattva knows. What's extensive and vast? what is dao zhu, okay? Wrongly there, dao is like upside down, residing, dwelling, staying there. It rests, but it's there, but it's upside down, okay? And here it's there and it's right side up. He knows these things. They're all pervading attributes, something that is thorough in that country. And what is, we translated differing interlaced, which is what? Ye bao jia ming chi bie. I'm sorry, wrong. Fang wang chi bie, interlaced. Square, net, distinction, xiang. And the last one is differing false names of karmic retribution body. We didn't actually read that one. We should have read it. So, zhi ye bao shen jia ming chi bie. He knows the differing false names of the karmic retribution bodies. Okay, we're going to dig into this one for just a minute. Let me get my note page up here. Here's a note page. This came up today in our Chan meditation class this morning. Let me show you some ideas. Yeah. Oh, that's so small. Hello there. Bao. And fan now. Fan is 6 now. Fan now. And then there is so. 4 zhi. And that is, one more time, zhi. It's 2. Okay. Zhang. That's the word I want right there. Okay. Make that really big so everybody can see it. Bigger. There. Didn't know you're in for a Chinese class, did you? Fan nao zhang. Ye zhang, bao zhang, so zhi zhang. Okay, what are we looking at? This is a list that occurs in the Dharma called 4 obstructions. 4 things that can block your progress along the spiritual path. Okay? There we go. This is the shorthand, Si Zhang. This is the longhand. 4 things that can block your progress along the spiritual path. One is the obstruction of afflictions. That's 1. 2, the obstruction of karma. Number 3 is the obstruction of retribution. And the 4th one is the obstruction of what is known or knowledge. There you go. This is really useful. I saw, let me save this so we don't lose it. 4 obstructions. There we go. Okay, here it is. And it's nice to have, when I've got my computer in front of me, you can use it as a notebook so everybody can share all together. So what's interesting about this? Let's look at our text one more time. This bodhisattva does what? He knows the differing false names of karmic retribution bodies. Differing false names. The Chinese again, look at this. Zhi, that's our verb. He knows. Ye, karma. Bao, and its retribution. Shen, body. Jia, false. Ming, name. Shibie, difference. Okay. So all along here, we saw xiang. There were 10 of them. Little, big, limitless, defiled, pure, extensive, upside down, proper right side up. This one is interesting, puru. It says everywhere entering. One way to translate that. I translated it as all-pervading, meaning something that is thoroughgoing. You find it everywhere. There's nothing about this country where you don't find those particular xiang, those attributes, and the Bodhisattva knows them. He knows everything about this country. And here is interlaced, like a net, fangwang shibie, all kinds of things about the country, okay? And here finally, we get, he knows, ye bao shen jia ming shibie. Okay, what's happening here? We'll find out. Stick with me here. Differing false names, karmic retribution. This came up. Okay. First of all, I read the other day that the Buddha has a name as the unobstructed. Think about it. It's like, are you obstructed? Yeah. I would love to fly, but I keep jumping and I keep coming back down. I want to jump and keep going, right? But my body doesn't cooperate? Can't fly. I'm obstructed by the attributes of my body. Personally, when I try to swim, I'm also obstructed. I'm not a great swimmer, but at least my body is waterproof, right? When I jump in the water doesn't go into my bloodstream because there's skin keeping me watertight. Okay, but I'm obstructed, right? Okay, I would love to hear what people are saying in Beijing, for example, but my body is in Australia. I'm obstructed. My hearing doesn't allow me to hear even what's going on in the next room. So limitation. You could actually transfer limit for obstacle. The Buddha is unobstructed. He's not obstructed anywhere. So traditionally, they divided obstructions into sometimes three, sanzhang, three, sometimes four. I'll give you the fourth, the list of four. And look at what they talk about. Afflictions, which is another uncommon Buddhist word, karma, retribution, and then knowledge, which is so interesting. So what do we make of that? Let's take a look. First of all, affliction. We talk about that fairly regularly. You could say greed is an obstacle. It's an impediment. It blocks you. If you're greedy, you don't slip through, right? You're clinging to stuff more, and it blocks us. If we're angry, anger keeps us from slipping right through. Anger is not our friend, right? Anger makes you stand out in a group. Anger, when somebody's really angry in a crowd, the ripples of that touches everyone at once, and we pull back from anger. Delusion, pride, and doubt, the same. Those are called afflictions, and they obstruct body and mind, although they're internal and mental to begin with. So I'm going to go right past those to the next one, because this is where it gets really interesting. Sam told me the other day that he's got somebody in meditation class here who is really interested in Buddhism, but absolutely chokes at the word karma. Stops right there, won't accept it. And when I heard it, I thought, yeah, what I would do if I were talking to that person right away is I would say, tell me what karma means. And there's this whole range of accepted American, or let's say English language meanings of karma, most of them wrong, mostly wrong. What is karma? If I ask everybody sitting there in Berkeley right now, chances are we'd get a whole bunch of different answers. What is karma? Why is it a block? Why is it an obstacle? I think many of us would say karma means bad stuff coming. right? Oh, it's karma, meaning bad news. That's kind of our culturally accepted definition of karma. Who knows where it got set that way? It might have been centuries ago. We assume karma means bad news. And that's actually wrong. That's not correct. That needs changing. I think it's too late. Probably it's already deeply embedded in the culture that karma means bad. And karma, in fact, is neutral. Karma means action and what comes back. So it's actually, the definition is really scientifically sound. If you think of, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, Newton, right? So, is that Newton? Thermodynamics? Law of physics? Physicist? Is that Newton?
Yes, that's Newton.
Thank you. Hey, I'm 2 for 2. I think hanging around with the physicists, I get to learn more. So, okay, karma's neutral. There is karma action, which brings about responses that an equal and opposite reaction you don't want, and that would be considered bad. There's karma action that brings about results, equal and opposite reactions that you like, that benefit, that are wholesome, good karma, right? And there's also, technically speaking, a neutral karma, which is fairly hard to catch. So karma is neutral. It doesn't mean bad stuff coming unless you created an unskillful, harmful action. Then the bao, the retribution that comes, you don't want. So a skillful, wise person who understands this principle focuses on wholesome actions, harmless actions, skillful actions that help people, that enhance well-being, that increase goodness, harmony, right? Or else, if you don't care, just go ahead and go out in the world and hurt as many people as possible and then see what happens. You will experience the reward of the retribution of those actions. You won't want it when it comes. So if back to Sam's friend who didn't accept the notion of karma, there's another whole world of definitions of karma that talks about things like reincarnation. And I think chances are that's what the person was objecting to, which is tangentially related. The notion that it's actually interesting because it's another physics law. Energy neither being created nor destroyed. Is that the law of thermodynamics? Is that also Newton, physicist? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Anybody? Come on, this is Berkeley. Somebody knows the answer. Yes, Tom, do you know the answer?
I think that was Newton, but I don't know who it was. I don't know who it
Louder,
was.
Please.
It wasn't Newton.
It's not Newton. Whose law is that? Thermodynamics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Who is it? Heng Sure. Einstein. No, maybe Einstein. Anyway, good. Hey, Jerry, check your comment box. Maybe somebody will know. So energy neither being created nor destroyed, it just transforms. That's closer to the Buddhist notion of what happens when we die. We don't stay dead. We come back, right? So anyway, that's another story. And it's karma is overlaid, kind of interlacing with that notion of reincarnation, which people find hard to accept because why? You can't see it. It's invisible. The Buddha did not invent that theory, that principle. In fact, it overlaps with Hindu or Brahmanist notions, similar. And you can find the same teaching in the Hebrew scriptures, depending on what you read. So anyway, interesting. Let's take a look now at obstacles. Why did I put these out on a page like this? It's because this is really interesting. What obstructs us? I would say the obstruction of karma, defined as habits. Habits. Okay, there we go. Habits. What do habits do? They keep us doing the same thing over and over and over. Think addiction. Addiction has a power. We might not want to do something, but indeed we do it again. Oh, indeed. Einstein, you win. Sam, 5 points. Well done. So, Jenny checking, it was Albert Einstein's quote, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is only changed from one form to another. All right, well done, Albert Einstein. Is there a name for that law, I wonder? At least we know the source. What that's like the law of thermodynamics. What is that called at Einstein? Okay, so karma is habits, and it's still neutral. It's action that is repeated over and over. Why is it an obstacle? Why is it an obstruction? Why does it block us when we want to cultivate? Because it operates us. We are not free of it once an addiction sets in. And you can think, I mean, if suddenly, we used an example this morning, if you're a coffee drinker and you like black coffee and somebody hands you a cup with cream and sugar, 2 lumps, right? And it's not organic sugar, it's white refined sugar, right? And it's Splenda, and it's Cremora or something. And you drink it and you go, that tastes terrible. We're not in the habit of drinking coffee with Cremora and Splenda. We're used to black coffee, or the opposite. You like cream and sugar in your coffee, or you like, British tea, and somebody hands you some kombucha. And it's not what I want, because my habitual flavor, I'm in the habit of tasting it the way I like it, the way I know it. Another example of how powerful this repeated behavior is, don't eat for 3 days. You don't have to dignify it as a fast, just don't eat for 3 days. And watch your body bugs rebel. I'm hungry. I don't want to do anything except eat. I did an 18-day fast once as part of my training in the monastery. And my goodness, at one point I was meditating, regular daily meditation, and in my mind I was reviewing every meal I'd ever eaten. And I lovingly went over every dish, and then there was mashed potatoes. And the mashed potatoes were just right, and I put some butter on the mash, and the butter melted, and I kind of made a little mountain crater in there, and the butter melted, and it was like I ate 7 forkfuls of mashed potatoes, 7.5 forkfuls of, and my body was eating my memories just because it was so hungry. And that's where it's at. And you go, gee whiz, my habits push me around a lot. I am not free of my habits. They're so strong, right? Try staying up. Don't sleep for that 48 hours. And I'm not recommending it. Don't say the monk told me to do this, okay? I'm not recommended. I'm saying as a negative example of how strong our habits are, we want to sleep. Our body will sleep us. And don't operate motor vehicles when you're experimenting this way, right? So yeah, it's strong. Doesn't have to be an addiction, which seems to be optional. Those habits at some point cross the line between volitional and non-volitional. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you're in trouble. It's like, okay, that's an obstacle. That's an obstacle. And yet, every single one of those habits begins, not the involuntary ones, the sleeping and eating, but volitional behavior starts with a thought. So the obstruction of karma, you can see it rise. I want to go out and let's say my car is driving me to Reno. I'm going to go to Harrah's Club Casino and gamble, try some blackjack or keno, you know. I'm going to go try my luck. I'm going to go court lady luck. And you think, that's a bad idea. No, but I'm going to do it. You can see the thought rise and go, nah, I'll go to Tahoe and meditate on the lake. I like Tahoe. I'll go watch the water. Beautiful lake. Stay away from the casino. So, okay, you saw that thought rise and you countered it with another thought, and there you go. So you saw the rising of the seed of karma, and you exercised choice, and it didn't get acted on. So, okay, mental, still choice, still volitional. Okay, that law, Einstein's law, is called the law of conservation of energy. Well done. Thank you, friends. Okay, now, moving on, what's next? So what do we discovered? Think addiction, still volitional, i.e. choice in the thought stage. You can still stop it, or you can go with it. It's volitional. It's karma when it is a habit that has already crossed the line into compulsion, right? Now, what is the obstruction of retribution? Okay, suppose I don't catch the thought and go with it, and something happens that keeps you from cultivating. That's the Bao Zhang. Give an example. This came up today in meditation class. Suppose you're a motorcycle rider and you love speed. You know, I've ridden a motorcycle, and the acceleration is a thrill. I mean, it's really thrilling to feel yourself suddenly, boom, and you're moving fast, and you boom. And if it's a really nice bike, you know, you have a feeling of this machine that is very well made and moves, just works really well. And it propels you down the road. Okay, suppose you get addicted to speed. It's your favorite sensation. And you think, never mind the speed limit. Who cares? I can out-accelerate them. They can't catch me. Who cares? Bunch of authoritarian cops, you know. And you go faster, and you're in the habit of it, you love speed, and somehow you encounter some gravel on the turn, your bike slips out, you drop it, you flip across the road and bang into a tree and crack some ribs. Let's say, not, you know, may this not happen, but hypothetical. Now you've got broken ribs, you are wearing your leathers and your boots so you don't have abrasions on the skin, but every breath is painful because you've actually suffered physical damage. That's retribution. And it's an obstacle. So it's felt in the body. Karma, born in the mind, obstacle. Retribution, felt in the body, obstacle. That's the difference between Ye Zhang and Bao Zhang. Okay? So both of those will obstruct you from daily cultivation, which if you said, wow, speed is really good, I'll save it for the track, not do it in the city streets or on country roads unless you're really clear that it's, safe. So what's the last one? This is maybe the most interesting of all. This list of obstacles usually is 3. So in the thought stage, felt in the body. Okay. The results of the thoughts, karma, unchecked. That's the retribution part. Okay, this one is so interesting. The obstruction of knowledge. Now, the Buddha was not anti-intellectual at all, right? He was a champion scholar, and he had sarvajña, omniscience, as well as prajña, which is wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so what is it about So Zhizhang? Retribution of what is known. Think about it this way. Each one of us has a story about who we are. The story probably began in the womb with mom, you know, patting us. We heard our name as she was thinking loving thoughts towards her unborn child. And we heard our name early on, and people did, you know, make the baby face and the baby noises, and we learned this story that we were loved, and all we had to do was cry and stuff came to us. Let's hope, you know, that you were a loved child. And pretty soon we built our story around the family that raised us. If we had siblings, it was a very different story of socialization. If we had older brothers and sisters, they lumped on us. If we were the older brother, we lumped on those kids when they came along. And sisters, you know, sisters both love and terrorize each other. So your story includes that kind of socialization. You learn your limits. That's what is known. Okay, language. Do you completely intellectualize the world? Do you name stuff? Our sutra talked about false names, right? So our story has to do with how we tag the world, how we stitch it together. Can you express every feeling you have? Or do you feel like nobody understands you? Well, that's part of our story. That's what is known. And yet, it can totally change. It's an obstacle until we get to the place, the Buddha would say, that is bukkha si, bukkha shin si, bukkha yeni, a place that you can't talk about, and a place that you can't think about either. There's no images, wordless images. Now, you could, I'm going to take it slightly to the left here. There's another way to talk about this, which is if you buy the theory of the bicameral brain, the two hemispheres of the brain, left brain, right brain, you could say that So Zhizhang would be the obstacle of over-intellectualizing, too strong left brain, not listening enough to your intuition, to the picture-making part. That would be another way. Not trusting the invisible parts of the brain. So I won't go there. That's a theory, and I'm not versed in it enough to present it responsibly. But just to say, these are things. Here we go. Let's take a look at our list again. Useful to think about what in my life obstructs me. What blocks me from what? From accomplishing my fullest potential? Another way to say it, what keeps you from being free? Things that keep us from being truly free. One is affliction, greed, anger, delusion. Have those in the mind, pride and doubt, we are not free. Oh, low self-esteem, right? I can't do that. Low self-esteem, that's an affliction. It's in the mind, it doesn't exist, right? Other than a dharma cognized by the mind. But it's a block, it'll stop us, keeps us from being free. Karma, habit, not bad luck, right? Think addiction, things we do over and over and over and over, and yet still a choice. And it will obstruct us. Our habits push us. And we can push back or refuse to be pushed, right? The third obstruction is what happens to the body and the world around us after we get pushed by habits and don't undo them, right? So retribution. And then the fourth one, which is so interesting, knowledge, story, and its limitations. What your story tells you you're unable to do. How interesting, right? So the Buddha said, yeah, that'll keep you from being free, right? Girls don't do science, you know that, right? Right? Never mind the female astronauts and Supreme Court judges, and presidents, and failed presidents, but won't go there. But you know, that's a story, and that story's time is pretty much up now. That gender is a limitation to leadership in any field. We don't buy that story anymore. So unless we do, are we still, bound by that older story? I remember wonderful. This is a true story. This sounds like one of those jokes about the rabbi and the priest went into the bar. Those old kind of jokes. This is a true story. I was sitting in the seminary with my colleagues, faculty at the seminary, and it was honestly true story. It was a rabbi and a Lutheran minister. This is one of those stories. So the topic was female leadership in your religious community. And so the rabbi said, oh yeah. He said, we've had female rabbis for a long time. He said, the chief rabbi in Chicago is a woman. He says, in my synagogue, we have a woman rabbi. It's been years now. And the Lutheran minister, and I was, progressive. That's really good. Glad to hear that women are in leadership roles, not just the cantor in the synagogue. And the rabbi turns to the minister and says, what about you? He's a Lutheran, said they. Got Lutheran women leading in the pulpit? Oh, yes. Of course, it depends on who you talk about. The Missouri Synod is a little about the ELCA, Evangelical Lutheran Church. He says, we've had women in the pulpit now for decades. Yes, very progressive. Well done. And they both turned to me and said, and you Buddhists? What about the Buddhists? I said, well, there have been Buddhist women in robes leading their communities for about 2,500 years. And they both nodded their heads. This is very progressive. Yes, thank you very much. Next subject. So, okay, yeah. Not universally so, however. There are Buddhist communities where that story is not celebrated, mind you. That's a topic for another time, but certainly in the city of 10,000 Buddhas, the tradition of Chinese Mahayana led by Master Shen Hua, women outnumber men about 4-1. So they are self-determining and very independent and powerful. So that is the case. All right, moving forward, take a look here. The differing false names of the karmic retribution bodies when you say, let's say, for example, yachi, okay, I got yachi, or teeth. Chinese call them yachi, all right? And in French, it's les dents. C'est les dents, à gauche, à droite, right? And okay, what is teeth in Japanese? Anybody know? I don't know teeth. What's teeth in Spanish? How do you say teeth in Spanish? Anybody know? We have some Spanish speakers? No? Then we can type it in. What about Vietnamese? Teeth in Vietnamese. What are they? Hand that microphone to Kai.
ก็รัง
Rang.
RANG รัง
Rang.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, Polish. Teeth in Polish.
Will be interesting sound. Zęby.
Say
Zęby.
again?
Zęby.
Wände.
Zęby.
Wände. Okay?
Close.
No, I know, bad pronunciation. You can train, yeah. Okay, say it one more time.
Zęby.
Bambe.
Yeah, good.
Okay, good, getting there, yeah. So, which one is the true name? All those varieties of words for this thing. Everybody's got them, you know, like bats have teeth, tigers have teeth. You know, babies don't have teeth, but they grow them. Elders have false teeth, dentures. So the answer is false names. And Bodhisattva is aware of that, and the karmic retribution bodies that come to us because of the things we do and the thoughts we think and the habits we establish, those are falsely named, and that doesn't mean he doesn't use them. False but useful. But he knows they're false. He doesn't take them as real. Okay? Somebody calls you an insult. They call you a racial slur. My community, it was mix, right? The Irish were called mix. My father grew up in Sherbrooke, Quebec. And Quebec at the time, as now, was dominantly French-Canadian. Quebecois is about 92% at the time. And my dad, being Irish, or an Irish family, was in the like 6% of non-French. And so my dad was called les maudits anglais, goddamned English. Never mind that they were Irish, but they were non-French, right? They became les maudits anglais. And okay, and he hated it. And he, you know, fought with the gangs. The maudits anglais gang would fight with the Quebecois. And so, yeah, be confused by false names. The Bodhisattva at every hand is not confused by false names. He knows them. Our verb here is zhi, right? Okay. Any comments? Anybody want to talk about those 4 obstacles or karma, retribution, affliction? Oh, there's a hand over there.
Just a quick comment. The Chinese,
Okay.
there's a typo. 烦恼, the now should be the different now.
On my page here?
心部, yeah, the Chinese 烦恼, the note.
Right here? Note.
The note.
Thank you, Alan. Let's see here. Now, hold on. It is number 3. That one.
Yes.
Thank you. Keeping me honest. I appreciate that. Okay. Anybody else? I saw a hand in the back there.
Hello. Hi, Dharma Master.
Hi.
Could we talk about the obstruction of karma?
I'm sorry, Connie, speak up, please. I can't quite hear.
The obstruction of habits or karma.
Mm.
You said that we can change our habits. You know, it begins with changing our thoughts. But how about the part where, you know, we can change in our thoughts, but how about the part where is the hard part that comes with the change of habits, like where you want to grit your teeth when you can't do that thing that you want to do, or eat when you want to eat, or, you know, sleep when you want to sleep. Like, you know, it's difficult to kind of, I don't know.
So the question is, what?
What should we do when we encounter, like, you know, that hard part in changing our habits?
Yeah. So the question is, what do you do about it, right? Well, okay. Did I get it right? It's what do you do when habits arise?
Yeah, like, you know, I had the thought that, okay, I should change that habit, but is hard to change it.
Okay.
You know, it takes a lot of effort.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. So I think, okay. So people who couldn't hear Connie, her question is, what happens when thoughts rise and you want to change them and they don't respond to your wish? Your wish to change. So here we have a creek. Just I'm sitting in the Buddha Hall, and if we go about 200 yards that way, there's a creek. It's a dry river, and it's not very big. You could, it's maybe 30 feet across. And right now it's dry because there hasn't been a torrential rain. And southeastern Queensland gets these huge, huge downpours where they're brief, but they're violent. And it's like a monsoon in other parts of the world. And suddenly this creek is full of rushing water. And the power of that water goes down the creek, follows the creek bed. The creek bed is a channel, and you have to kind of climb down into it, walk across it, and climb up it. Right now it's dry, but when it's full of water, that water is raging and rushing. And it goes the way the creek bed sends it. To think it, I've stood on the bridge over it and thought, okay, I would like to turn this water and make it go left, and it's going to go where the creek bed directs it. The creek bed is dug out by the force of the water. So every time it rains like that, the creek bed gets reinforced in its direction. It's carrying the water that way. In theory, in potential, at any time, the water could choose to go somewhere else. There's nothing stopping the water from going left or going right or going up, but it goes the way the creek bed goes. So again, it's habit. That creek bed just lets me see it so clearly that that's where I've sent the water before, that's where the water is going to go this time. So in principle, the creek bed could go in any direction, but it goes the way the habit sends it. So when was the first drop of water that went down and started the creek? You don't know that. When was the first thought in your mind that went the way that you don't want it to go now? You don't know that. In any case, if when you're meditating or just going through your day, thoughts rise that you say, I don't want that thought. That's a bad thought. That shouldn't be my thought. Number one is you made a judgment. At this point now, where you say, bad thought. Maybe it's a hateful thought towards your mom, for example. Not that I'm suggesting that you have those, but let's say anybody, has a hateful thought towards a parent, for example. You know it's wrong, and you don't want those thoughts. Where do those come from? Okay, to say, oh, I'm a bad person, I just had a hateful thought towards my mother, shame on me, bad me, that's not helpful. The thought still rises, right? What's useful? What do you do? At that point you say, somewhere that thought began, I experienced it in my mind, I am not my thoughts. My thoughts exist separate from me. They come and go like water down the creek. I'm not going to follow that thought. With that countering thought, you've done your duty, you've done your job. That's what cultivators do. You refuse to follow. Okay, so the quick answer to your question, what do I do, is you refuse to follow. You don't move. Because why? You have judged that thought as inappropriate. That's a wrong thought. Anger at your mom, for example, or hatred towards your neighbor's child. You don't want to go out and do harm to your neighbor's child, even though maybe the kid deserves it, because you wouldn't want it done to your child. Okay, so another example, hypothetical. So you recognize that's a wrong thought. You go, I'm not going to act on it. You refuse to move. That's all you do. And you have to trust that over time, even the course of the river will change. will move. Because why? It's only there to serve the water. If the water dries up, the creek bed doesn't matter what direction it goes. Over time, those thoughts will dry up. There's nobody else to blame for them, right? Nobody makes you think those thoughts you don't like. So a grown-up cultivator, first of all, give yourself credit for recognizing that some thoughts are stinkers. You don't want that thought. That thought's not going to help you at all. So you recognize it, you're not going to move. Good for you. That's already rare. Give yourself credit for attempting to change, wanting to change, to improve. That's a good thing. Many people don't even bother to want to change. Just whatever, dude. So that's number one. Number two, who says that's a bad thought? Well, currently you do. That's a stinker thought. Okay, I'm not going to move. And it's gone. Everything that rises in the mind ceases in the mind. That is the case. Thoughts rise up, you recognize them, don't move, they're gone. Now it rise up again, stinker thought, okay, I'm not going to move. What do you do when it rains? Like, do you shake your fist at heaven? Why are you raining? You're getting my car wet. How dare you? Shame on you. Don't do that. Stop. That's pretty futile to shake your fist at the rain, right? Well, what do? You bring an umbrella up and you drive a little more slowly, according to conditions. And the rain, bit by bit, stops. It doesn't rain forever. So bit by bit, those thoughts will stop. You don't shake your fist at them and you don't let them go. That's also wrong because they're stinker thoughts. You just don't move and take an umbrella. Okay, does that help?
Yeah, thanks, Dharma Master.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she says. You don't.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, you don't sound very encouraged here. Let's see here. I'm bending down here because the print is so tiny on my screen. Could you please explain a little about full lotus posture if there's time? Okay, yeah, sure. Good. We're going to do a little bit more text. We have to make progress in our Avatamsaka here. Anyway, that's a good question, Connie, and you're not the only one asking that question for sure. Okay, we're going to do this part. Here we go. 知声闻身, 独角身, 菩萨身, 假名持别. 知如来身有菩萨身, 愿身, 化身, 力持身, 相好庄严身, 唯识身, 一生身, 福德身, 法身, 智身. Count them. Okay, we've got, let's see, Puti, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Avatamsaka, they're always 10. He knows the differing false names of the voice hearer bodies, the solitary awakened bodies, and the bodhisattva bodies. He knows the Tathagata's bodies have bodies of bodhi, of vows, of transformations, of bodies held with strength, of bodies made splendid with features and characteristics, of bodies with awe-inspiring power, of bodies born of intentions, bodies with blessings and virtue, of dharma bodies, and of wisdom bodies. Okay, we're going through sages. This is to say, our bodhisattva at this point in the 8th stage, the Badi, right? What does he know? He knows all the different manifestations of wisdom. These are all sages, and what sages, how they appear. A voice hearer is an arhat, called a shravaka. Used to call them sound hearers, but they hear the Buddha's voice. Our wen fo sheng er wu dao, right? They hear the Buddha's voice and awaken to the way. 4 stages, Shravakas. Solitary awakened, also known as Pracheka Buddhas. He knows this manifestation of wisdom, and Bodhisattva's bodies. He recognizes them and can use them if he needs to, can appear in them, but doesn't have to. Okay, verb again, he knows. On the 8th stage, this is part of the package. If you're an 8th stage Bodhisattva, you can know the Ru Lai Shen. Check this out. 知如来身 A Buddha's body comes with 10 kinds of bodies intact. There we go. Look at these. If you are a Buddha, if you're a Rulai, a Tathagata, you have a Bodhi body, you have vows that are a complete entity, you have transformations, Hua, Shen, Li, Chi, Shen, bodies that you hold with intention, they're not just automatic. Bodies with Xianghao Zhuangyan, right? That's the Buddha with his 32 hallmarks and 80 characteristics. Those are there. What else? Bodies with awe-inspiring power, incredible strength. Bodies born of intention. You simply wish them into being. Bodies with blessings and virtue, Dharma bodies and wisdom bodies. In other words, our Bodhisattva on the 8th stage already knows how Buddhas function. This is one of the notes that I was reading when I read the commentary by Master Qingliang, Master Chengguan, the Huayan Su Chao. He said, yeah, essentially at the 8th stage, the Bodhisattva has most of what Buddhas can do. He's not a Buddha, but his ability, once his consciousness turned to wisdom at that crossroads that we were looking at last couple months, then it's just a subtle difference between what you can do and what a Buddha can do. It's not the same, but it's there. All right, I'm going to go through to the bodies. If you don't mind, come follow me in our investigation here so we can move forward. Let's do this paragraph right here. 知至身善思两相，如实觉子相，果行所摄相，世间出世间持别相，三圣持别相，共相不共相，处理相非处理相，学相无学相。Wowee, this is so thorough going, right? Here we go. The Bodhisattva knows the wisdom bodies, attributes that come from wholesome thoughts, the attributes that come from actual selection, the attributes that come from reward practices, the attributes that come from the differences between mundane and world transcending, the attributes that come from the differences among the three vehicles, the shared attributes, the special attributes, the transcendent attributes, the non-transcendent attributes, the learned attributes, and the attributes that go beyond something you can study. Cool. Here's the Avatamsaka, man. This is so thorough. It's inventorying what comes with the 8th stage. So when you realize the 8th stage, like this Bodhisattva, all of this comes out of your nature. It's there latent right now. It just needs to be triggered. It's like incredible software that has all these functions that once you take the lynda.com course, you know how to operate them, right? Okay, one more chunk and we're good. It's this one right here, 2 pages, crossing over the page. Here we go, ready? 知法身平等相，不坏相，随时随俗，假名吃别相，众生非众生法吃别相。佛法圣僧法吃别相，知虚空身无量相，周遍相，无形相，无义相，无边相，显现四身相。Attributes. These are all the different qualities that this Bodhisattva is totally chill with, understands thoroughly. What are they? He knows the impartial attributes of the Dharma body, its indestructible attributes, its different attributes that accord to the times and with the conventions of false names, the different attributes of living beings, dharmas, and non-living beings, dharmas. What would those be? And the different attributes of the Dharma of Buddhas and the Sangha of sages. He knows the immeasurable attributes of the empty space body, its pervasive attributes, its shapeless attributes, its non-differing attributes, its boundless attributes, and its attributes that are revealed in form bodies. Okay, here we go. Now, all these lists of 10 attributes, 10 qualities, What are we talking about? Why look at this? Understand what this is. This is a textbook. This is a manual. It's not trying to sell us anything. It's not trying to defend any kind of dogma. It's not making a statement about the universe that needs to be defended from other differing statements about. This is the Buddha saying, when your nature has had the electricity charge come through and the synapses have been fired up, this is what you're capable of doing. This is wisdom's function. It's impartial, it's scientific, it's cold, you could say. Mind you, it's not. It's because compassion is the heart of it. And it's all done for the sake of teaching. But how interesting. Right now in the sutra, it's just running through and saying, this bodhisattva has these different, they call them bodies. They're shun, because why? They congeal, they mass into this form. We recognize them, oh, there's a Buddha. Oh, there's a bodhisattva. Oh, there's an arhat. There's a sage. There's a pratyeka Buddha. And look what they can do. How interesting. So if you ever had a thought, what's a Buddha? Open the sutra. It'll tell you. Here it is. What does a Buddha do? That's interesting, right? How come nobody ever told me? Well, who translated the Avatamsaka Sutra before this and looked into it, right? So how interesting. Here is a deeper description of a bodhisattva with all his abilities on the path to Buddhahood. Okay, interesting stuff. We're moving through, and pretty quick, we're going to be done with we're done with the text, the prose of the 8th ground, then we get verses. This particular ground has repetitive verses. I wanted to share with folks something that I enjoy. We're in the Master Shenhua's centennial year already. His birthday is actually in May, but he would have been 100 years old. And we were cleaning out the office the other day in Berkeley, and we got to these drawers in file cabinets, and I pulled them open, and I discovered something that I forgot that I had, which is notebooks. I'm a note taker, and I was always a translator for 18 years at Master Hua. And during, I got an assignment along with Martin Verhoeven, Professor Verhoeven, Marty, to keep a diary, keep a journal of what happened to me during the day and how it connected to the Avatamsaka Sutra. That was my assignment. And Master Hua also said, collect your stories. This is going to be your capital that you're going to lecture from in the future, he said. And it's like, what, Shifu? Future lecture, what? I had no idea. So he said, yeah, do it. And so I kept, because I wasn't talking for 6 years, I used my ears and wrote down, like all of the things that didn't come out of my mouth came out of my pen. And when I opened my cabinet, there were 3 drawers full of notebooks. There might be 30 notebooks in there. And what are they? They're my instructions from my teacher, from Shifu, during the early 80s at CDDB, mostly. And I have one of them here. See my funky handwriting. And this one is, it's just a standard old, binder notebook. And this one was instructions from Shifu in 1978. 1978. And there are instructions about speaking Dharma, and I wanted to share this with people, especially Jin Chuan and Jin Wei Shi and anybody else who's listening. So these are instructions. He said, make speeches when you go to Asia. Prepare outlines on a variety of topics suited to students suited to professors, suited to young people and old people. Memorize the outlines and keep them in mind. Don't read them. Don't recite them. Make it lively and look for feedback. Check the first impression of the audiences. And then he looked at me and he said, don't be so unnatural. Don't be so affected, he said. 不要造作. He said, you don't pretend to be lofty. Be down to earth. Say things that people can easily understand. Talk about principles for beginners. Let's see. Oh, I told you it was 1978. No, it's not 78. It's 81. We'd actually gone to Los Angeles. And this is before we went to Asia from LA. He said, at Gold Wheel, talk 15 minutes, emphasize the sutra, it's the staple. Illustrations should support the principle, like vegetables and fruit. He said, don't go over the sutra time. Heng Chao, he said, Guoting, you speak 15 minutes, and then Guozhen, Heng Sure translates. And after you finish translating for Guoting, then you lecture on your own 10 minutes of English and 10 minutes of Chinese. Well, I got to speak less than Marty. So he said, Asia, Dharma masters want lay people to request sutras and then pay dollars, pay money for them. He said, it is buka shuo, it is business, he said. Don't expect Asian disciples to know the sutras. They know less of sutras than you in America. That turned out to be a surprise and true. He said, every time you give a lecture, you have to add a story. You have to tell a story. Think what will influence people towards the good. Check how the story matches with principles. Select essential principles from the Avatamsaka. Then he goes on to say, if people ask you to cure their illnesses, tell them to recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, or Erstor Bodhisattva's name, or the Erstor Sutra. If they want to bow to City of 10,000 Buddhas in their home, they can do that. If they want to come and listen to the sutras, they may be cured. He said, curing people's illnesses is a complicated mess. Pay no attention. Get clear on that. So. Use your Dharma selecting eye to find the essentials, even in the stories. Tell stories that people can easily understand. So those are instructions for giving Dharma talks in Asia. So I've got page after page of Master Hua's instructions here that I wrote them down and then I didn't open them up or transcribe them because why? There was more coming. And I just added notebooks on top of notebooks. And I have probably 30 notebooks in there. That maybe not quite, maybe 25. I don't know, but they're there in the inner office at Berkeley Monastery. And I hope I live long enough to get them transcribed. I don't die before. At the rate that we produce books, it's probably going to be a long time. But anyway, that's a legacy waiting to share. And this is the year for it. This is the year to celebrate what we've been given by our teacher. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining. Jinchuan, Jinwei, do you want to tell some announcements about what's going on at Berkeley? The schedule is back in swing. Please speak loudly.
Yes, so finally our break is over. Today we had first open Saturdays. We had the morning gathering, lunch, and recitation of Buddha's name. So we return to our normal schedule. On this coming tomorrow, we have Buddha's name recitation, started at 7:15 until 4 p.m. On Monday, we have the evening with Professor Doug Powers, what is called Buddhism for the Modern Mind. So we start a series of lectures from 7:30 p.m. to 9. And Wednesday, we have Stephen Tanner class all the classes start from 7:30 to mostly 9 p.m. And on this coming Friday, what is February 9th, it will be first class after the break given by Professor Marty Verhoeven, which was mentioned here. And so, and also we have many activities connected with the Chinese New Year, what is coming soon. I guess it's
Chinese New Year.
February 16th, right? So is the year of the dog, right? And we will celebrate as well in this monastery. And in the morning, Friday, from 8:30 to, I guess, 10:30, there will be recitation of mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, with some, and some monks will share reflections as well for the upcoming New Year. And Saturday we will continue recitation of Mani Padme Hum from 9 a.m. And follow these practices will be the offered lunch for people who are join the practice with and share practice with us. And also we have another event what is related to Chinese New Year, like each year in Auckland Museum. It's February.
Auckland Museum.
Yes, Auckland Museum. February 25th. So we will have our, we share our part, like usually we do calligraphy, you know, share some nicely vegan food and share books and so on. I don't know, I miss anything?
Making spring rolls, right?
Spring rolls, right?
Spring rolls, yeah.
Right. This is one of the favorites in the museum.
Yeah, really. In fact, at the Oakland Museum, when our team goes in to celebrate Chinese New Year's, the spring roll making class is really, really popular. And it's amazing. I mean, all the citizens of Oakland gather around this table, wait for the spring rolls to be done, and they disappear really fast. Right. That's a super popular booth at the Oakland Museum Chinese New Year's Festival.
Yes, and in the next, actually,
it's not only Chinese, it's Vietnamese New Year's, right? It's Tet as well, right? Tet.
Right. Chúc mừng mai noi, right? I'm right.
There you go.
We say, yeah.
新年过年新喜, right?
Yes.
One year at City of 10,000 Buddhas, it was Chinese Lunar New Year's. And if you say Lunar New Year's, that covers Chinese and Vietnamese as well. And I didn't know the difference. And so it was my turn to talk at lunch on a Sunday. Shifu was sitting just to my right. And I said, oh, Happy New Year. 恭喜发财. And Shifu went, no, monks don't say that. I was like, good luck, congratulations, hope you get rich, is what 恭喜发财 means. And I didn't know. I thought I was being like Chinese culturally savvy, and it was like, no, monks don't say that. Oh, I'll never forget that sound in my ear. I felt like kind of like an air horn being turned. No, you don't say that. So what do monks say? Jin Chuan, what do you say for Happy New Year in Chinese?
Jing Fosher goes, 恭喜发财.
No. 恭喜发财. Yeah, may you have Dharma wealth. No, that's a pun. You can say 过年新喜 or Happy New Year. That's safe in English. Everybody goes, oh, Happy New Year. So, but you don't want to not say anything. That's rude. So just don't say 恭喜发财.
You say 新年快乐. 新年快乐.
Say again?
新年快乐.
新年快乐. That's good. That's good. That's safe.
Usually the normal one. 新年快乐.
Okay. Thank you for those announcements. Here we go. Dedication of merit. I learned that this week that Americans are, of the total human population, we are 4.4%, and we own 42% of the world's guns. So a percentage, 4.4% of the entire world's population owns nearly half of the world's guns. We have interesting priorities in our country. So here's a good dedication. May all beings be peaceful. May those guns be turned into plows or something useful. Okay, please make a wish, your very own. What is your wish for your country body? Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. All right, would the monks please lead everybody in bowing? And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining. This has been great as we study the Avatamsaka Sutra and the 10th ground, 10 stages of the Bodhisattva.
Okay.
Amitofo, bye-bye.
Amitofo.